Hey,
Bam!
bam. Love it, Tommy.
Can I just dive right in?
Come on, let's do it.
So I'm just gonna dive right in. September just ended. I know you and Darren, everyone's gonna be like, don't date the podcast, but I don't care. So guys, I just jumped on right this minute with Joe. We haven't talked, right? So brother, are you ready for this? This is why I love coaching. Right? So right before, one moment before we just got on, I just got a call from Ann. We have new coaching students who just started, right? So I've been a coach for over a decade in real estate. Yep. And these are new coaching students who wanted to start a coaching business. So I've never had these results before. Ready? So in the first month of coaching, our students, and we only had a handful of students come in, right?
Let me be clear too. This is you teaching people how to start coaching businesses.
How to start a coaching business. Exactly right. Yeah. So let me lower my, there. So this is me coaching people on how to coach a coaching business, right? With everybody's wasting time right in there with webinars, seminars, funnels, tunnels, like sideways sales letters and all this garbage, right? It's not garbage, but here's the thing, right? $99,750 collected, right? By they in their first 4 weeks of the program. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people, $99,750 collected.
I love it.
What in the world?
What? This is so awesome, brother. Right? And I'm going to tell you another story here in just a minute. I just finished a podcast. It's also the money's great when you sell coaching and consulting, but you know what also is better? The impact and the lives that you can change. I just did a podcast with Ray John, mutual friend you introduced me to.
I know exactly who that is. Yes.
Right. Guess what, guys? He was homeless, came here from China, living out of his car.
Yep.
Right. And Tom coached him on how to do his first wholesale deal. Now, he also said that he gave me some credit too for his success because he I think maybe I introduced him to you. I don't know.
Either way.
But I've coached him as well. But you were coaching him more closely than I was. Me, it was more through the podcast and my online stuff, right?
Well, he's a sponge. I'm sure he took great tips from you and me, but he gets it and he implements it. That's the key.
He's a crazy fast implementer. Yes. And here he is, Tom, like he's an action taker. He was homeless, was able to get on a computer, listen to your podcast, listen to mine, learn how to wholesale deals. You got on the phone, you talked to him. Now he just netted $800,000 net. That's his profit, $800,000 in the last 9 months since January 1 when we're recording this. And I don't know, he's been doing deals now for 4 or 5 years, I think.
Yeah, and he actually is one of the coaching students.
Now he's also learning it himself.
Yeah,
how to help how to coach other people to do the same thing.
It's phenomenal.
And so I was asking him questions, Tom, like, what do you do if you don't have the money and you can't buy the land? And he said, Joe, let me tell you something again. Let me remind you, I was homeless, living in a car.
Right.
And I got started doing this. So I love the coaching business, guys, because we get to make a difference in people's lives. Yeah, the money's great. I mean, 6 of Tom's students, and he's just started this course a month ago, have made close to $100,000 in collected revenue. That's
revenue.
That's probably double or triple if you count the payments that come in over time, right? But that's what we're going to be talking about on this podcast, how to make an impact in people's lives and start a coaching business from scratch. You don't need a funnel. You don't need webinars. You don't need a huge podcast. You don't need a list. You don't need Facebook ads, YouTube ads. That stuff helps. And I'm going to be talking a lot about that because I do a lot of that, but you don't need that to get started.
Right.
Oh.
I mean, yes. Right. Awesome. I love it. So can we dive right in? Because I want to give people value right now. Because
yes.
Go ahead.
First, we're doing a workshop. The reason why we're doing this is Tom and I, if you see Tom's energy now, wait till you see him live. We're going to be in Orlando, Florida, October 27th through 28th. We're doing a workshop together. We're only limiting it to 30 people. Guys, we already are almost to half of that right now. And the thing's coming up in a few weeks. We're going to sell. We expect to sell at least half of our tickets in the last 1 or 2 weeks. That always works out that way. So this will fill up. Go to coachmarketingworkshop.com, coachmarketingworkshop.com. Again, October 27th through 28th in Orlando, Florida. We've got all the food covered. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be an awesome workshop. We're going to be talking about how to start coaching business. And I'm going to show you, Tom's going to show you how to do it without the funnels and tunnels. I'm going to show you how to do them with the funnels, because once you get your first few dollars in, then you can invest in some marketing and some webinars or whatever. And I'm going to be teaching you what we're doing there.
So I want to be clear on this. I want to be crystal clear on this. You absolutely need funnels and tunnels and all that other, whatever they're called. I don't know. Right. But, the key is you want to get to 100K in sales immediately. And then you can start to put in, guys, don't forget what is marketing, right? Marketing, what Joe is the best in the world at. I mean, literally, and that's not an exaggeration. We're in masterminds, multiple masterminds together. I mean, everyone is like fighting to sit next to Joe because they want to swipe his, funnel or VSL, whatever that stands for, right? They want to I want this copy and that copy and his headlines and offers, right? So you need to have that stuff to get to a $5-10 million business. But the reason that marketing fails for so many new coaches is because it's an amplification. What marketing does is it turns your message up. But if you don't know what the heck you're talking about or who you serve or the value you bring, or if you're just copying something that you heard from somebody else, it's not going to land with the audience. There's a lot of great books. Comedians are some of the best book writers. Kevin Hart wrote a great book called I Can't Make This Stuff Up. And every new coach should read this. And it talks about how they go to these stages all over town in these dive bars, and they're up on stage and they're testing their bits. They want to see what bits land with the audience. So yes, you need a Netflix special, right? Which is Joe McCall is the Netflix special, but you better know what the heck it lands with your audience before you have that Netflix special, or it's going to flop. I don't care how cool the technology is. If you're just starting out, it is vitally important that you understand what your message is. And that's what I'm really good at. And Joe's really good at, and we're going to get you to the right out of the gate, 100K, and then Joe's going to show you how to take it from 100K to millions of dollars, which he's done and I have done. So it's going to be a great adventure. But yeah, I'm ready to dive in and start giving some value.
Well, let's do that again. But go to coachmarketingworkshop.com before it fills up. Tom, you've been coaching. We both do our coaching like we do what we teach, right? We're not teaching. We don't have a coaching program teaching people how to do a coaching program that teach people how to do a coaching program, right? We don't make our money teaching people how to do coaching. We actually do the actual business of coaching and helping people. And we have countless stories like Ray's, who was homeless. I have a guy who was homeless who would go to the library computer to get on the computer to do deals. So if you have any interest in making that kind of an impact in people's lives around you, but you're maybe overwhelmed with all this stuff I got to do, or I tried a webinar, it didn't work. I tried ads, and I just talked to a guy this morning who's coming to our workshop. I won't be too specific, but he spent over $10,000 on ads for a webinar to get 10 people on the webinar.
Right.
That's $1,000 per registration.
Right.
I told him, and he was trying to sell a course. And this is what I want to say too. Don't, if you're getting started, don't try to create a course and create this huge following and get ads. You want to start with coaching, right? Well, that's where you want to start.
Yeah. The key is that all of that stuff, that activity that makes you feel better, anything that doesn't put revenue in first position, anything that doesn't allow you to help people in their business, anything that is comfortable is sometimes preparation can be a form of procrastination. Yeah. So whenever you wake up in the morning and you are saying I can work on tinkering around with a website or trying to design a logo or, find a domain name that matches the name of the company that I want, or build a course, all of that stuff is just a way. It's like a defense mechanism in your belly. It's a way to say, like, I don't have to do the uncomfortable stuff of helping people or asking people for money or making an awkward phone call. So just as a general rule for like a 101 is whenever you wake up in the morning and you say, man, I could start helping someone and achieve a result, or I can start tinkering around by learning how to do a funnel. Do what's more uncomfortable. Put revenue and the people you're helping in first position. That is one of the keys to this. I mean, I know it's so simple, but Joe always says, right, just back to the basics, right? That's the key.
Huge point. And that's what we're going to be talking about, being brilliant at the basics. Go ahead, Tom.
And just one other quick thing, guys, what Joe just touched on, I really believe that is absolutely the most important thing. Joe and I made our money as coaches in an industry not coaching coaches. And I think that, even as a coach who coaches myself, I look to these guys they're very successful running coaching businesses that coach coaches, and they coach you how to do webinars and they coach you how to do seminars. But the problem is the reason they have so many people in their course and it's just not getting the results that we get for our clients is because they were never a coach outside of the coaches industry. I know this is like a crazy, like who's on first conversation. I hope you guys can follow what we're saying, but the biggest coaches in coaching coaches right now made their money coaching coaches. Joe and I did not do that. We made our money as actual coaches in real estate, coaching students in real estate. So that's why we know things like marketing doesn't matter, or at least it doesn't matter as much as learning how to get your students to take uncomfortable action, because that's what gets your students results. So it's going to be
so
yeah, I mean, that's going to be, I just wanted to double down on that, Joe, because I think that's the key is people don't realize that there's a difference between coaching people who want to be a coach and actually being a coach who coaches people not in the coaching. It's a world of difference. Yeah. It's a world of difference.
Exactly. All right. So let's talk about this, Tom. Like, somebody who's just getting started, you just took, I don't know how many people are in your class. You just started this class about 4 weeks ago. What were some of the steps? What are some of the things that you were walking them through?
So one of the most important things if you're starting as a new coach, and this is critical, is this is going to sound like crazy advice. Don't be a coach. What I want you to do, right, if you're just getting started in coaching, avoid the word coach. You're not a coach yet. You don't have a coaching business. You don't have students. Don't refer to students and how you've helped them if you don't have students. One of these rules in business that a lot of people embrace is they call it fake it till you make it, right, or act as if. This is the worst advice ever given to any entrepreneur ever. If you want to have contagious energy for what you do and how you help people, all I want you to focus on is, and if you're new, write this down above your computer. Don't be a coach, just be a generous expert. Just be a generous expert. Don't be a coach. Your authenticity will come through. Talk about your result, right? You were fat, you found this pill, now you're fit. You were in a bad marriage, you found this methodology, now you're in a loving marriage. You were broke, now you found this way to invest, and now you're wealthy. So be the generous expert, don't be the coach, and give it all away. Amy Porterfield, give it all away. Jeff Walker, give it all away. All the men and women of consequence who have come before us, they've taught us this lesson, right? They have this message that is, it either forces you to turn the volume up or change the station. So the key advice is, if you're just starting out, and the other key thing is be authentic about what your result is, right? This is the other thing, is sometimes you might be feeling less than or not as good as, these fake coaches who they take pictures with yachts and Rolls Royces and these fake planes that you could, walk into. I mean, Joe and I know these people. We know them, right? You can literally rent a fake jet that's cut in half and go and take a picture inside the jet. So, I mean, this is ludicrous, right? But what I would say is, whatever is real for you, speak to that and you will find your audience. Don't fake it till you make it. Be authentic, right? If you found a way, if you have a full-time job and you found a way to make an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month, part-time, doing some sort of a part-time thing, like a side hustle on Amazon or whatever you found. Just don't exaggerate your results. Just talk about that, and you will find an audience. It's actually very simple to find an audience with that. It's when you start to put all this marketing and make believe stuff in the middle. That's where everything falls flat. And
one of the things I like to tell people to do is, you've found a skill or a strategy, something that works for you, right? You need to go out there and prove that it works for somebody else. So coach somebody for free.
Yes.
To get them the results, right? Because now guess what? You've got a ton more things to talk about. You can talk about how the success you've had, but you can also talk about, hey, you know what? And when you're building value, I love this. I just took on, I helped my friend, my brother. I helped him do 3 deals. I helped him lose 100 pounds. And this is what we did. We went through this and we did this and this and this and this. When you start talking about results, and if you don't know anybody yet, and you don't want to do the marketing and you can't, but like find somebody that wants your help them for free, right? And then get the results. You can use them as a case study. Right. And then, so that's what I'm trying to say here is to prove that it works and to have something to talk about and value to give. Talk about how you helped other people have success like you're having. Make sense?
And that's the secret, guys. It's in you being, I remember when some of you listening might know a coach. His name is Brent Daniels. He has a program called TTP, which stands for Talk to People. And I remember, when I first was hearing about him, people were saying, oh, Brent Daniels is helping me and he's helping. I remember having my first conversation, and Brent Daniels has now gone on to be a tremendous
one of his first students.
Is one of my students. Yes, absolutely. And he is crushing it. And he's a sweetheart, or one of my best friends, and I love him. But the key is that I remember my first conversation with him, and he was so excited about all these people were saying, Tom, you've got to get a hold of Brent Daniels. He's been helping me, not charging me anything. And I'll never forget in the first conversation I spoke to him, I still have it in my other bookcase. You can't see behind me. He said, Tom, I'll tell you the secret. I read the book, The Go-Giver, by Bob Berg, right? Is it? And he, guys, I'm telling you, Joe is spot on. If you have found something that has made your life better, it's given you a great outcome, a great result, then just share it. Help people. Be focused on helping people first and helping them in their business, their health, their wealth, their relationships. Just be the generous expert. Give it all away, and you will build an amazing group of fans, followers, clients, potential clients. You'll have a tribe or whatever, a group on a community, and you will become an authority. And it's really, that's the secret. And
let's talk about this, because some people are afraid, Tom, of giving too much away for free. Now, there's people that talk about moving the free line, right? Why would, let me play devil's advocate here, and let's say, well, why would I want to give away all my secrets for free?
Right. So the whole idea of no free line, and this is something that I was introduced to by Jeff Walker first initially, and then I've heard it throughout the years from the most exceptional coaches and leaders in our space, and Joe, from you and other people. And what I would say is this: I think the fear is that if I give it all away, that people aren't going to pay me for information, and nothing can be further from the truth. And the reason is because when you'll find this out as a coach, if you haven't coached, what you will find out is that your job is not to provide free information that people could get at no cost on YouTube or Wikipedia. Information is not the reason why fat people are fat and poor people are poor and bad relationships are bad. Information is the problem, if anything, right? So when you are actually giving away instruction and people are taking that instruction and getting a result, they will come back to you for all of the instruction. You will be seen as an authority, and you'll be seen as somebody who actually cares about providing them a result and not just selling people. So it creates this magnetic persona where people will come to you and they will want to go to the next level with you. So my practice has always been, ever since day one, I was in real estate education. I gave away my best list. I gave away my best postcard or mail piece, my marketing pieces. I would give everything away, and our group just grew and grew and grew. And the amazing thing is, they follow you, they follow the leader. Then they were go-givers. They were helping each other. Some people, I was able to create a business that made millions and sold for millions. How was I able to exit? Because we created a community, an infrastructure. We fostered that environment of go-givers where everybody was pulling everybody else up. So sometimes in this new coaching program, people will say, well, Tom, I really wanted a one-to-many, scalable, national coaching model that was a business, not a job. Here's the secret. The more you practice this of no free line and really helping people, the more it's actually more scalable. You would think that it's less scalable, but the reality is scalability of a company, this is a little complicated, but scalability of a company is not based on the activity that the company does for the customer. It's based on whether or not the owner is doing it. And the reality is, you're not Superman. I'm not Superman. Anything you do in your business can be done by somebody else if you codify it and you identify it. So don't be too hung up on the activity and whether or not the activity itself is scalable. Scalability is only you not doing something. And that's how you build a coaching business, in my opinion, the right way, the best way, the way that is going to give you what you want. And I'll remind you why you got into business. You got into business, all of us who are owners got into business for one reason, which is a good night's sleep. We want to put our head on the pillow and we want to calm down and relax and be okay with money and be okay with relationships and be okay with everything else. That's why we are in business, so that we work hard and we go to bed and sleep like a baby, right? So when you build a company that is helping people instead of just driving revenue, right? This is how you actually create that sort of environment. So it's awesome on every single front of the entire business model.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
Frank Kern, who's one of the guys that I love and follow because he keeps everything so simple. He talks about this concept of stress-free abundance. And we all want to make a lot of money, but do you want to make $10 million a month if it means you got a ton of stress and your expenses are $9.9 million a month? Right. So we want to make a lot of money, but we want it without the stress, right? And
we know people like that.
No, yeah, we know we are people, but like, I don't want to have 20 employees. I want to have a simple business. I can work when I want, whenever I want, and I have freedom, right? So it's working backwards from there. And he used to do this exercise, Frank Kern did. And maybe we'll do this at the workshop. I think this would be a really great idea.
Let's do it.
In fact, I'm going to write this down. If you looked at the average salary of an executive in America, let's say it's $100,000. Okay, double that, $200,000 for an executive salary, right? And let's look at an executive style house. You want like a really, really nice house. So in your area, let's say that's $500,000. Let's double that. Let's get $1 million house, right? And let's get a really nice car, whatever that is. What's a nice car? And then double that. So let's say you're going to lease a car for $2,000 a month, let's say. And then you figure in, you want to take 4 really nice vacations a year. So that's another $50,000 a year for 4 really nice vacations a year. Okay? Right. Now the way Tom and I spend our money,
I was just going to say
maybe one vacation.
Right.
All right. But then anyway, so then you total all that up. Don't forget the tax man, right? So to add in 30%, 40% for taxes. And then you do that number to live that kind of executive lifestyle salary, executive house, executive car, lots of freedom to take lots of really nice vacations. That is not that much money. I mean, yeah, it is compared to where you're at, but it's not, you don't need to make $5 million a year to do that. You may not even need to make $1 million a year to do that.
Right.
And so then if you work it from backwards from there, let's say that number is $500,000 a year. I mean, if you have zero debt, you can live like a rock star on $500,000 a year. That's a lot. So anyway, you work it backwards, and let's say that's $30,000 a month. You need to make 30 to 40 grand, 50 grand a month. Let's say 50 grand a month, right? And then you start breaking it backwards from that. All right. So if your program is $5,000 or 10 grand, you just need to sign up 5 to 10 people a month. And then you start from there. So like, I love this exercise of stress-free abundance, designing your lifestyle that you want first, and then working backwards from there on what kind of business. And then you figure out, all right, well, these are the simple things that I need to do. And it takes away a lot of the overwhelm. Does that make sense what I'm saying there?
I mean, that's the whole key, is that if getting to the number that will make you satisfied is very simple. When you understand that money is a symptom, and right, because wealthy people know money is a symptom. People who struggle financially think money is a condition, right? But wealthy people understand that money is a symptom. So what Joe and I are going to do is we're going to show you how step by step, in a very simple, right? I got a 990 on my SAT. So if my brain can do this, your brain can do this, which is we're going to show you step by step how to build that business that is going to create the condition that will produce not just more than enough money than you need to live and an abundance lifestyle, but also it's going to help a lot of people along the way. We're not going to be pushing and driving revenue so hard that we're going to be telling your students to go take a mortgage out on their house in order to pay for your coaching program, right? So we're going to give you the stress-free, where we're going to put not just revenue. And this is something that we should talk about, is this student-first philosophy. This is something that Joe and I are going to talk about that. Guys, however, if you want a thriving, growing business that just is leapfrog success, just exponential, compound success, one of the secrets is this student-first methodology. This is not just some silly verbiage. This means on every single decision, you go with the choice that is most likely to give the student the result that you promised them before you took their hard-earned money. And if you build a business like that, and your team, even if your team is 2 or 3 people, if they see you do that, they will do it. Your students will do it. The students who come up in your program to become coaches in your program, they'll do it. That's what's scalable. That's what's going to give you this, what Joe is talking about, a stress-free business, or a good night's sleep is the way I refer to it. But guys, this stuff is easy peasy, lemon squeezy. You don't have to overcomplicate this. If you've been struggling in your coaching business and you're, fiddling around with all of these marketing tools, and you're doing everything not to go out there and put yourself out there, we're going to show you how to cut through all that fat. And I think, Joe, it's important too, we should probably talk about, this is not just for the beginner coaches, because guys, Joe is going to be there, and this is for if you're already doing 10K a month or more. This is for you too, because you're going to be able. I mean, Joe, talk about how this is, guys. I'm doing this. I'll tell you why I'm doing this. I'm doing this with Joe for you guys, but I'm also doing it because I want to spend 2 days with Joe, and he's going to give away all of his copy and swipe files, and that is going to go directly into my pocket, and I'm going to email it during the seminar. If you guys see me on my phone, I'm going to be emailing my director of marketing all of those files. So
here's the thing: you don't need to recreate the wheel, right? You don't, once you're starting to, once you're at the 10, 20 grand a month level, which is very, very easy to get to. I'm telling you, 100 grand a year, very simple and easy to get to, right? And Tom's going to be teaching that. If you want to take it to $1 million a year, you need to have some funnels and processes or systems in place. You need to have a way to maybe do some Facebook ads, build an audience. You need to start thinking about building an audience at that point, right? That could be through a simple podcast. We'll talk about that, a YouTube channel, Instagram following, or whatever. But you need simple funnels to get people into your world, to build your list, and to start building, once you have the list, and to build a relationship with them. And so here's what I always talk about. It's so important to understand. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's already 100 other people that are doing what you want to do. So find the ones you like and just model them. Don't copy it, but model it. So what I'm going to give you are 3 simple funnels that we've used, right? The first one is like a free lead magnet. It's where you can just give something away for free that's really valuable to get them to get their email, so you can start building a relationship with them. And it could be a simple thing like a checklist or a contract or a script, right? Real something's free. Then the other thing is maybe a simple webinar, 30-minute video of you teaching about something that you do, and then offering to sell something to them for a small price. And then maybe the next thing would be, there's 3 funnels. The free thing, something mid-price thing, and then the high ticket thing, which is book a call, basically, how to create the video. And so one of the things that I did a lot, I've done this a lot rather, is I'll do a simple free challenge, let's say, get people in free for 5 days, 3 to 5 days, deliver tons of really good value. And then at the end say, hey, I got 100 people on, who's interested in working with me one-on-one in a closer level? And 50 people raise their hands. I say, all right, look, there's 50 people that raise their hands. I only got room for 10. So you need to send me a message right now and I'll send you more information. So it's just a simple funnel like that, right? And then people send you the message. Then you send them a Google Doc, which explains the program. So anyway, I want to say this, like there's really simple things you can do. And I'm going to give you all of the examples that I've created. And also I have a huge swipe file of other things that other people have created. So you can take a look at what I've done.
I just want to say, Joe, I don't know if when I started my coaching business, not the coaching business I just did last month, this was a new iteration of it. And Joe sent me an example, and those were my first 10 students. So I'm going to share that exactly what you gave me. I'm going to share exactly. I'll give that away because that's will be my contribution to the marketing into this.
What example is that again?
I am not telling you until we get to the event, but I will tell you this: it absolutely works, 110%. I will ring the victory bell for that. But Joe called me up and he's like, "Hey Tom, why don't you try this?" And if I could, Joe, I just want to say, guys, this is the other thing about being in an event like this is that it is also about your network, right? When I started doing this, which was about 8 weeks ago, officially started coaching coaches on officially started doing it. Joe called me up and he said, Tom, anything you need, hey, try this. This should be awesome. Other people that I love and respect, and not just anybody, amazing people, Francis Ebola and Jeremy Nuff and Brian Tripp and Darren Bentley and Todd Toback and Brent Daniels and all of my friends. And so guys, these events it's important to understand. Some people say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, but here's the key to that really is that spending time with people without them influencing you is like trying to go swimming without getting wet. So one of the keys is if you want to be around the right people who are going to help accelerate your business in this way, it's also about not spending time with the wrong people. Right? It's a plane, right? There's weight, there's drag, there's thrust, and there's lift. So just make sure that, when you're at this event, right, you want to network with these amazing people who are going to be here because a lot of them are already going to have very successful businesses. But this is another element to being around the right people in beautiful Orlando. We're going to have a blast. Maybe
I didn't mention that, but together we've sold over $30 million in coaching and info products to people. So we do know what we're talking about. And I don't mean that to brag in any kind of weird way, but like this is something we're really passionate about, and we want to teach you and coach you and help you to get there. And it's going to, anyway, there's so much we could talk about. The important thing is model what works, right? Find what other people are doing and just model it, just copy it. So I'm going to be giving you all of my swipe file for different campaigns that we've done. You don't have to create it. You just send it to your marketing guy. Find somebody on Fiverr or Upwork to build your funnel.
Can we talk about that first? Because I don't want to scare anybody. Like if you're just starting and you're like, I don't have a marketing guy. My marketing guy was a girl. And when I started, her name was Lorena. She's still one of my closest friends. We've flown her from the Philippines. Since then, we found her on Upwork. Now everybody uses Fiverr. At the time, it was called, what was Upwork called? I don't even remember. It was called something else. Odesk. It used to be called Odesk. I found Lorena. We flew Lorena over to Florida once. We got to hang out with her. It was awesome. So if you're like, oh, I don't have a marketing person, we will show you how to. You know what we should do is we'll go through the VA gauntlet that we did. So we'll go through. I'm going to make a note of that right now so I don't forget. We'll go through exactly step by step how to find a VA super affordable that could do all this stuff for you. So Joe's going to give it to you and then have your VA implement. Don't you dare start implementing this stuff yourself because I still don't know what some of these acronyms mean, that Joe talks about. And it's because I don't get involved with them. I just hand it off. Ask who, not how. So I just wanted to say that because that's important for anyone who's worried like, I don't have a VA. We'll show you how to do that.
So just, find what other people are doing and model it, right? Don't try to reinvent the wheel. There is so much opportunity out there. So Tom, I wanted to ask you too, like for people who want to get started, what are some simple baby steps that people can use to get started today to build to give away a ton of the free value that you're talking about, to build an audience, maybe on Facebook, podcasts, whatever? What are some of the things you help people teach people how to do?
So yeah, the most important thing, guys, is if you're just getting started now, and there's a difference between a person who wants to get to 10K per month and a person who is already there. But if you're brand new, the first thing is to put yourself out there. And I know that sounds so simple, right? I know it's like, well, what do you mean put yourself out there, right? But if you find the people who are just pick a channel. It doesn't matter what channel. And if you're confused about, whether it's TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or whatever, if you're confused, follow the 5 rules of marketing. Guys, this is something we're going to talk about that is so simple and so obvious anybody can do. If your business is failing to launch, if it's failing to take off, it's because you're breaking one of the 5 rules of marketing. They're super simple. So get a pen and paper. Here's what they are. Number 1, you've got to be big. You got to be loud. Marketing is a numbers game more than anything else, more than skill set or anything else. Most people don't want what you're selling, and the ones who do, most of them won't pay for it. So you've got to it's a numbers game. You've got to put a lot into it. Whether it's free or paid, you've got to have high volume. Number 2 is it's got to be consistent. If you're going to go live every day on Facebook, commit to every single day, Monday through Saturday, take Sundays off and go live the same time, 2:00 every day. So volume, consistency. Number 3 is singular. This is one of the biggest mistakes that new people make is you ask a new coach, you say, well, how are you finding your clients? And they say, well, I did a TikTok, I made a YouTube channel, I started a podcast, I did some cold calling, I did some direct mail, I borrowed a list, I did an affiliate launch. If you talk to somebody who right out of the gate starts making $10,000 a month and you say, how are you finding your clients? They'll say, I find this one channel. It's Instagram, it's TikTok, it's whatever. I do this every single day. I totally dominate it. I know what time is the best. I know how to title it the best. I know the colors to use in my advertising. I know exactly how long it should be. So total domination. The 3rd rule of marketing is singularity. So volume, consistency, singularity. Number 4, and this is a key, especially for you introverts out there, anybody who's introverted is number 4 is fast response. The minute that somebody raises their hand and they say, yes, I want to find out more. I would love to do that. Tell me more how you got that result for yourself because I want it. Get them on the phone immediately. People are most likely to take your help and buy from you if you can close the gap between the time they raise their hand to the time you contact them. Don't be fancy. Don't put in a Calendly link. You don't need a calendar link for any of this stuff, right? You're a brand new coach. Number 5, the last one, right? So we have big, we have consistent, we have singular, we have fast response. And the 5th one is it's got to be trackable. You got to know how much time, energy, money you put in and what exactly are you getting back. And guys, sometimes now that I've said this to you, sometimes it's hard to see this with successful people that they're doing all 5 of these things, but it's very easy to see. From now on, you'll never forget this. Whenever you see anybody struggling in their business, you'll be able to see like, oh, they're breaking the consistency rule. Every time they get busy with deals, they become inconsistent with marketing and their income is a roller coaster, right? Or they're too small, right? They won't put out enough of the marketing. So just look to those 5 rules, and that's a really good baseline to have. Guys, this is what Joe and I are talking about. There's like this big mythical, how do you cross this threshold of 10K per month? 10K per month is simple. If you cut out all the garbage and if you just cut out all the garbage and you just do the work that produces the revenue, and then you just focus on getting those first students what you promised them. That's all you've got to do, and you will have a 7-figure, thriving, national one-to-many coaching business, not a job. If you just start with foundationally doing the stuff that will attract clients and then actually getting the result that you promised. If that's the only 2 things that you take, there you go.
Yeah. Let's talk about Ray right here, right? Because he's in your Coaching Inc. program, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
So I just had him on my podcast. Guy was homeless 4 or 5 years ago from China, living in a car in the US, was making millions of dollars doing vacant land. Now he wants to coach and help people, right? So I had him on my podcast, Tom. One of the most valuable podcasts I've ever done, right? And I've done 1,100, 1,200 episodes. It just gave away tons of value. And I dug deep and I warned him in advance. I'm going to ask you lots of questions. We actually screen shared. He shared all of his secrets, maybe, I mean, the important ones, on how to do land deals and what he's doing. He's netted over $800,000 in the last 12 months. Okay.
Right.
So he shared everything. And at the end, I said, okay, Ray, how do people get a hold of you? He didn't give me a funnel. He didn't give me a simple URL to download his free book or watch a webinar. He said, just follow me on Instagram. Okay.
So
follow me on Instagram, and it's Virtual Flipland is his Instagram. That's his tool that he talks about, that he's on. Right. That's the channel that he's comfortable with. And I'm just looking at the pictures here. And he's got some videos and pictures of his family in a car. And he does some lives or stories, whatever they're called. I don't even know. Right. And he doesn't have very many followers either yet, but talk about, he's already got students.
So let me tell you about Ray. Yes. I love Ray. So Ray comes into Coaching Inc. He comes into my coaching program and he says, Tom, I want to hit the ground running. I'll do whatever you say to do. And Ray, by the way, when I first met Ray years ago, he was in China and he was really struggling financially. So, I look to Ray as an inspiration. I really was, I'm so honored that he's in the course, but he came in. Joe, are you sitting down? Are you ready? You're not. He closed in his first week $40,000 in students. In his first,
wait. He collected or closed $40,000 in coaching fees
in his first week.
In his first week.
Yes, that is the truth. Is that unbelievable?
And he's coaching people how to do what he does with vacant land in real estate.
Yes, he came in. He said, Tom, I'm so blessed. You helped me do this thing with my real estate investing. I want to coach other people now. I said, great. No problem. I said, I'll do it. He joined the program. He did 40K in week 1. I mean, this stuff works. I mean, I'm telling you, it works.
Ring that bell again. Ring that bell.
Ring that bell. I mean, it's easy. It's simple. People overcomplicate it. This is a Joe McCall 101. Back to the basics. Stick to the basic. What is it that you say? Is it
brilliant at the basics?
Brilliant at the basics. I love it, guys. Brilliant at the basics. Don't overthink this stuff. This is simple, easy peasy. Yeah. Just be real. Be authentic. Follow the rules of all the men and women who came before you. Don't reinvent the wheel. Remember the number one rule in business is everyone out there is full of poop. You got to make sure that you're not following people with all this fancy stuff that they're doing. A lot of people aren't actually making money. A lot of people have made their fortune coaching coaches. So it sounds good, right? They've got their bits down, right? But are the students getting results? And that's the key. So, this stuff comes from the trenches, not from the general's tent a mile back with binoculars. This comes from Joe and I being in the trenches for a decade, coaching not hundreds, thousands of people we have coached. I know just for myself alone, over 5,000 people, way more than 10. People say you need to be 10,000 hours to be a master craftsman or an expert or whatever. I know personally, I'm way over 10,000 hours. So yeah. This is real stuff from the ground that works, that gets results immediately, not in 6 months of fooling around and retooling a webinar. And the key is that, but once you know this stuff, the webinar works. All of these work. That's the key.
Right. Okay. So let's go back to Ray.
Yes.
What did you tell him to do? I mean, you just kind of mentioned a little bit, but how did he actually collect the 40K? What did he do?
I just told him to start talking about his own personal results. And there's a few, I mean, it's a little, I will tell you guys, it's a little bit more in depth than what I'm sharing here, but essentially the 50,000 foot view is really simple. Be authentic and don't be fake. Don't act as if. Don't talk about your students right away. Talk about yourself. Talk about where you were, who you are, and make a live that brings value. What does value mean? Value means I listen to this podcast and I can take action. I can take massive and perfect action because I'm inspired, because I have clear instruction. So show them what list. I remember when I was first getting started with my coaching business, and some people were giving me a hard time about giving too much away. Some people on my team.
I remember
yes.
that. Yeah.
And I remember I went on to a show, and it was a popular show at the time. I'm sure it still is. And they said, well, Tom, how are you doing so many deals? And I said, here's exactly how. This is the list. One of the lists is the water turnoff list. People who have their water turned off are most likely to sell their property at a discount. Here's exactly how you get it, because you can't buy it. Step by step, I gave everything away, and I just continue that methodology. I've had my students have done that. I've seen other, my students have done that from the. If you know any of my coaching students, and these include some of the biggest, most successful coaches out there today, if you look at them and you follow them, you will see they're go-givers. You can do everything from listening to their podcast or watching their channel. So I just want to encourage you guys, don't have a scarcity mindset, have an abundance mindset. More for someone else does not mean less for you. More for someone else means more for you. That's the key.
So where can people go to start sharing this stuff? What channels do you tell them to go to or recommend?
So whatever channel they think is best, because the best channel is the one they believe is best and the one that they pour into. And here is the reason that on the 5 rules of marketing, number 3, don't forget, guys, is singularity, right? Number 3 is singularity. When you practice singularity and you try to dominate one channel, if that channel stinks, you will know in 10 weeks instead of 10 months. I want you to start to reprogram your mind using an epic calendar. If you don't know what an epic calendar is, it means that every week, like right now, we are on the 39th week of the year, right? So very successful people they don't use monthly calendars, they use weekly calendars, right? What's going to happen this week. So start using an epic calendar. And what I would say is, if you go all in on one channel, the advantage you have is if you pick the wrong channel, you will know in 10 weeks instead of 10 months. Most people, they do a whole bunch of channels and they don't know what's working and what's failing, because they'll get one lead from TikTok and one lead from an email list and one from an affiliate launch and one from doing someone else's podcast. So what happens is they're using all of their time and energy and money and attention and resources. It's spread out throughout all of these channels. And then what happens is it takes 10 months to find what's not working instead of 10 weeks. But the problem is, that's what we call in business death by 1,000 needles, because now you're exhausted, you're frustrated, you have roller coaster income. There's no possible way to dominate all of those channels, right? So what channel is the best? The one you pick. The one you think is the best channel is the best channel. Pour into it every ounce of everything you've got, and in 10 weeks, you will know if that's a good channel or if it totally stinks, and then you just pivot. That's the key.
So important. It reminds me here of something I want to share. I learned this from somebody. I'll tell you who it is later on. But
okay.
This is the 5 things you should focus on. The 5 1 things. The 5 1 things. Write this down. Okay.
Okay.
1 customer. Right. And included with that is, what's their one problem they're trying to solve. Right. 1 customer, 1 problem. The second thing is 1 product, like 1 coaching program or 1 info product, whatever it is, just 1 thing that you're only selling 1 thing. The third thing is 1 conversion tool. What does that mean? That means like convert them on the phone, webinar, or something. Then the fourth one thing is 1 traffic source. 1 traffic source. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, podcasts, whatever, right? Focus on those things for 1 year.
Yep.
That's the 5th one thing. And sharpen them for 1 year. That's how you're going to make your first $1 million, by focusing on the 1 thing. 1 person or 1 customer with 1 problem to solve, 1 product like coaching program, 1 conversion tool on the phone, right? one traffic source. Maybe it's Instagram. Send me a DM. That's your one traffic source. So you're just doing Instagrams, talking about deals. You're talking about your weight loss, talking about your goals, sharing your success, and then the success of your students, right? Just giving tons of value on that one traffic source. 1 year to focus on those things. That's where you're going to really explode.
I totally agree. I mean, I think that's brilliant, because if this is where everybody messes up, is they think that you don't want to dip your toe in 10 pools. You got to dive into the deep end, and then you'll find out what temperature you're most comfortable at. But this is the mistake that new coaches and seasoned coaches make. This is the mistake. They, sometimes, guys, a distraction can be disguised as an opportunity, but your ability, your willpower and discipline to stick with one channel and make it work and dominate it, the payoff is exponential. This is essentially the book, The One Thing by Gary Keller. It's like, and if you haven't read that book, read that book. And if you don't read. And if you listen to books, that's great too. There's nothing wrong, but try to read. Even if you were told that you have a learning disability, like I was told when I was a kid that I was a visual learner and I couldn't stick with it, but all successful people read. That's why every home over 10 million has a library in it. So I would just say, guys, these are the basic rules of success. They're the same everywhere. And getting to $10,000 a month is very easy. And if I promise you, if you can get to 10K a month in a repeatable way, in a consistent way, making the transition using Joe's tools from $10,000 a month to $100,000 a month is not difficult. It's not difficult. That is what scalability means. Scalability is just, I found a sequence. It works consistently. How do I build a little machine or process around it? That's what Joe is good at. That's where he's a master. I've done it with him. We've had, right? What I remember once I was in my cabin. I don't remember what we did, but I remember doing something and I was like, oh, that was easy. And we generated we held a ton of people and we generated a mountain of revenue. It was awesome. And I was in my cabin. I don't remember what we did, yeah. And it was awesome. I was like, Joe, I have a bad signal. And I was in the basement of my cabin because my kids were running around. And so I would just say, guys, like, if you follow these simple rules, business can be really rewarding. You can help thousands and make millions. It's not complicated. I think people overcomplicate it as a way to not do the uncomfortable work of putting yourself out there. But just close your eyes and do it. I mean, it's easy. You're going to fall on your face. No matter how much practice you have. I will say, and I have to jump here in a minute, Joe, but I will say I'll leave you guys with this one thing. There's a movie called Ender's Game with Harrison Ford, and he's a general, and they're putting this kid into battle. And the psychiatrist comes in, and the psychologist says, he's not ready. He's not ready. And Harrison Ford, who's this, battle-scarred general, says, we're never ready. We go when we're ready enough. And if you're listening to this, you're ready enough. If you have a personal result that has helped you make your life better, share it with the world. Don't worry about all the fancy stuff. You'll attract marketing people. Believe me, they will come to you. I've had it happen to me. I know for a fact Joe's happened to your team. You will attract, when you are awesome, you will attract awesome, loyal, talented people. When they see all you're trying to do is help people, you will attract a team that will provide you with exponential, compound, leapfrog success every single time. We know people who this has happened to. So I would just say, I mean, this is and there's Reed with an awesome comment. I love it, Reed. Good to see you on there. But that's
real quick. Thousands of candles can be lighted from a single candle, and the life of the candle will not be shortened. Success never decreases by being shared.
Bam!
That's all.
Guys, life is really, really short. You can do this the right way. Yeah. This is easy peasy lemon squeezy. This is all about using your talents to take care of other people, and you will be blessed. More for others does not mean less for you. Let's go. Let's get started. We're going to change lives. This is exciting. I love it.
I'm excited too, guys. CoachMarketingWorkshop.com, CoachMarketingWorkshop.com. And we're going to fill up. We're only letting 30 people in, and it's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for your time, Tom. And I'm going to try to twist your arm later. We'll talk offline here get you on one more, because you did a really good post the other day about the 11 mistakes coaches make. And I want to do a podcast about that here.
Let's do it. Absolutely. That's a game changer. Yes.
Okay.
All right. We will talk. Oh, don't get me fired up now. I'm ready to go another hour. Let's do it. All right. Sounds good, Joe. I got to run, guys. Enjoy the day, Joe. It was good spending time with you, brother.
We'll see you guys later. Go to coachmarketingworkshop.com. Bye-bye, everybody.